Hey there, friends and enemies. JoPaWrites here again, and today I want to talk about my personal top 5 exotic weapons that I'm most excited to use with Destiny 2 Season of the Deep because I think there's a lot of positive changes coming. The meta is going to be really shaken up. We have new artifact perks, exotic weapon changes, weapon rebalancing. We've got exotic armor and ability changes, just so much going on that I think the builds are going to be really varied, especially early on next season. And I wanted to kind of go over the 5 that I'm really looking forward to checking out. First and foremost, though, I want to give some honorable mentions to ones that I think will be good in the future, but not necessarily this season, like Skyburner's Oath and Tommy's Matchbook, both of which I think will be good, but because we don't have any solar-specific artifact perks, not as good as we'll see some of these other weapons. Graviton Lance is one that I am wait and see, because after a recent buff, a lot of people told me Graviton Lance was good, and I personally did not think so. And then on the PvP side, I think because of we have all these arc perks on the artifact, you're going to see Risk Runner a lot in PvP once again. I promise you, it's going to be rampant. So if you see stacks of arc users in PvP, you're probably going to see some Risk Runners popping up as well. Anyway, let's jump into my favorites and the ones that I'm most excited about building, and that is starting off with the Trace Rifles, Cold Heart and Wave Splitter specifically. Wave Splitter I made a build on this current season of Defiance, and I generated an insane amount of orbs. It is absolutely tremendous, and I think Cold Heart is going to kind of go a notch above it next season just because of the ability to kind of generate those ionic traces. I think the armor perks for Arc are a little bit more exciting than the ones for Void, although the Void ones are still very, very good. And for that reason, I think Cold Heart is going to be tremendous. Plus, we have Overload Trace Rifle as well this season, which is going to be phenomenal. You're going to be able to take on champions with these, which is always a nice little added bonus. We do have Unstoppable Glaive as well, but I don't see any glaives really rising to the top, at least none of the exotics. Now, next up on the list of ones I am most excited about is Delicate Tomb, and this is one I think a lot of people probably have forgotten about. But this one, Final Blows generate ionic traces. If you like this weapon and enjoy using it, you can almost essentially have infinite abilities, and those ionic traces are going to generate you damage resistance with one of the artifact perks as well. So this thing I think is going to be insane. There's a Arc Warlock build that I think you can make with this, with the ionic traces and Fallen Sunstar, that is just an infinite loop. Spam your abilities, use Delicate Tomb, spam your abilities. It just this crazy cycle that is very, very enjoyable, and I think is going to be tremendous next season. The damage resist is actually really vital to that, because I think in a lot of endgame content, weapons like this might struggle. Arc in general struggles a little bit with endgame builds just because you need to stay alive outside of some of the Titan builds or whatever, or the Hunter. There are certain builds you can make, but I think it's just easier to stay alive for a lot of people with like a Void Overshield, with healing from Solar, and that kind of stuff. So that's why I just personally think a lot of people will kind of shy away from Arc, and hopefully not next season, because I think it's going to be very, very good. Now let's move over to the power weapons. Oh, special shout out as well to Trinity Ghoul. I think this one's going to be really good, but I think everyone kind of will expect it to be very good, and it's already pretty solid. I literally just kind of made a video on it recently as well, so don't sleep on Trinity Ghoul, but I feel like that's a no-brainer. Then we move on to the exotic power weapons, and I'm gonna start with Grand Overture. This one is going to be, I think, pretty nutty, especially if we get like arc surges and everything like that. I'm really looking forward to using this. It's a weapon I really enjoy, and making builds around it can be very fun, especially when you have the catalyst that allows you to blind nearby enemies as well, which is very nice. And so, yeah, all that being said, kind of synergizing that blindness into your build as well can be great. And so, because of that, the synergy with the arc weapons and the arc subclasses, I think that one will be really, really solid. And then finally, this might be copium, but I do really want Legend of Acris to finally be top tier, excellent, big, bad shotgun baby. I really want this to be good. Now, it's hard because you have conditional finality, which is already very, very good already. And will this actually take its spot? Will it be worth it because it is a heavy slot weapon? I don't know, but I do want it to be. And adding the additional ammo, having some of these arc weapon, arc perks for the artifact, all that kind of good stuff kind of lends itself to legendary accuracy maybe finally being good. And I'm really hopeful. I really want more options in these heavy slots. You look at this list, and it's kind of crazy how much of these are not really used that often, and it's a kind of a major bummer, right? You don't see Deathbringer or Truth really. Salvation's Grip is getting a rework. I still don't know how good that is. Xenophage was good. Thunderlord's getting a nerf. You got Two-Tailed Fox, which is good, but like there's just so many underwhelming options. Warline Zero, I still don't think will be very good. I wish a lot of these were better. Darcy, there's so many options that I just feel like could be better. Even the Prospector, which people kind of assumed would be better than it is, it's just not it. Eyes of Tomorrow is getting that buff, but we'll see how that actually performs. So yeah, overall, it's funny because of the kinetic and energy weapons, I'm pretty excited about the exotics oftentimes, especially some of the special weapons, but overall the power weapons just don't really do it unless you're running something like Galahorn or Lament or Winterbite before it gets its bug fixed. So yeah, that's just kind of where I stand. I'm the hope for the legendary accuracy and some of these others, like I know Queensbreaker will probably never be meta again, but I just wish some of these would return to a point where they were viable at the very least in any type of PvE. And I feel that power fantasy, right? I don't necessarily need them to be awesome in Grandmasters, but I want to feel like they do something that gives me that wow factor. Like, oh, this is an exotic, even though it's not broken in Grandmasters, but I can still use it in raids. I can use it in other activities, and it just feels fun. And a lot of these are missing that. I know this is a little bit of a tangent, but I wanted to kind of briefly mention that just because I did put Legendary Accuracy on here. I did put Grand Overture, and that's more me hoping they're good than really knowing if they're going to be awesome or not. But I'm really excited to try those out. Really not any kinetics on here I want to talk about because they're not going to synergize with the builds as much except for conditional finality, and there's no solar or stasis mods going on there, so I'm not really worried about that one either. So yeah, energy and power weapons are the ones I wanted to focus on. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, I know I went on a little side rant, but that is neither here nor there. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, helps me out tremendously. Shows you want to see more Destiny 2 content from me going forward. I'm going to be having a ton of videos once Season of the Deep does drop, so I appreciate all the support. My name is JoPa. I hope you have a good one, and I'll catch you all later.